and I go full bore. Like, I'm all in. I'm either in or I'm out. And I'm in. I'm focused on trying to be the best owner I can be, do all the things that the fans would want, my players would want, my coach, my GM, the people that work there, the community. What would a fan want me to do? Like, I've never had a fan come up and be like, hey, Matt, please don't spend so much on the luxury tax. We want you to keep your money. Like, nobody's ever said that to you, right? No one ever will, because they want to win.
So a few words there from current Phoenix Suns owner Mat Ishbia and our future baseball overlord, Mat Ishbia, maybe? Dan Hayes of The Athletic, along with a couple other Athletic reporters, putting out there that the Ishbia brothers are interested in buying the Minnesota Twins. We're going to talk about these guys real quick. One thing I do want to put out before we get into these two in particular is I've been really kind of scaling back expectations for people on the Pohlads possibly selling, because we've seen two baseball teams recently explore selling and then not sell. So I've been kind of hesitant about getting people's hopes up. I think now you can get your hopes up. I think that having this concrete news come out, I think this is something that's really getting the ball rolling. And I don't think these guys don't strike me as guys to potentially be looking into buying a team and not be that serious about it. So who are these guys? Justin Ishbia is the one singled out in this report from The Athletic, but his brother Matt is mentioned in the article. We'll get to that in just a sec. But just want to call out, again, this reporting coming from The Athletic via Dan Hayes and a couple of the other writers there. Consider subscribing. Great reporting, great articles from them. Let's get to the actual verbiage in the article so I don't mess anything up, to be honest. I'm just talking about baseball here, so, take that with a grain of salt when we're talking about business stuff. So I'm going to stick with the professionals here and go by exactly what they wrote in the article. A source briefed on the situation confirmed that Justin Ishbia and his brother, Suns and Phoenix Mercury owner Mat Ishbia, are interested in buying the Twins. So, again, the headline only mentioned Justin's. The article throws Matt in there. They're probably, some kind of a combination of the two will invest if they are indeed going to be buying the Twins. And, if they're interested, again, these guys do not strike me as, that they're just going to sort of look into something and not be all that serious about it. Again, Mat Ishbia, they co-own, I believe, the Suns, so it is both of them there as well. But just how rich are these guys? We know they're rich. Anybody coming into this conversation is going to be a billionaire. This is $1 billion asset. Everybody involved in this discussion is just going to be filthy rich. What are we talking about with these guys? The numbers I could find on Forbes, maybe these aren't the most updated numbers, but this is what I could find listed on Forbes. Mat Ishbia, $9.3 billion, Justin Ishbia, $4.9 billion, and that is coming from the same source that listed the Pohlads at $3.8 billion. So these guys individually are a whole lot more rich than the Pohlads, and this doesn't even include Jeff Ishbia, their father, who I couldn't even find his net worth anywhere, just in a quick search. But how are they so rich? Their dad, Jeff Ishbia, was the founder of United Wholesale Mortgage. I don't know his history prior to that, but I don't think you found a mortgage company, from your garage or whatever. So they come from a background of, a financially successful father. Mat Ishbia is currently the CEO of United Wholesale Mortgage, and I do want to point out both Matt and Justin have also been very successful in their own business ventures. I know I saw Justin in particular has a knack for buying small businesses and turning them into a profit. Anybody involved in this conversation is going to be stupid rich. So these guys are stupid rich. They're even more rich than the Pohlads, who are unimaginably rich, to me and you. So let's move on to a little bit more about these guys. Some of the things, this is just sort of me. Again, I just want to make that completely clear that this is my takeaway from looking at this situation. If these guys are interested in buying the Twins, man, I could really see this coming together. These guys don't strike me as the type of guys just to show interest again, and not. They seem competitive. They seem aggressive, positive. They are rich, as we saw on the last page. That doesn't always mean that they're going to spend a lot, but they have significantly invested in the Suns. They're also a known entity since we have information on them. They own a sports team. They own multiple sports teams. So we know how they operate. That's not a question mark. I think that's a positive. They were born in Michigan, a state, an area that has a baseball team. That's a positive to me. Because if you saw some of my talks about the Pohlads potentially selling, one of my concerns is a new owner potentially wanting to move the team. Now, some kind of a safety net that we have is there's a 15-year lease on Target's field still, but when you are as rich as these people are, I think you can probably figure out a way how to spend enough money to break that lease. So that's really the thing that scares me the most in any kind of potential sale of any sports franchise is what is the intentions of this new owner? And at least we know these guys aren't like, oh, I want to buy this team. I'm from Montreal. I want to buy this team and eventually move it back to make the Expos too or something. I don't know. They're also sports fans and athletes. Mat Ishbia was a walk-on basketball player at Michigan State. I think that's a positive. I think it shows you that these guys are invested in sports and they get sports. The current version of the Pohlads aren't. I mean, they just aren't. And some of that's maybe defensible. They inherited the Twins. Maybe they're not that into baseball. Maybe they're not that into sports at all. The most significant thing I've inherited is a couch. No, a love seat, actually. So I cannot relate to what it is like to just inherit this business. And maybe you're not all that passionate about it. These guys would be really passionate and invested and get it, I would say. So I don't think that these guys, they are investors, they are businessmen, but I don't think they would be only motivated in making the Twins into a money-making venture, into an investment. I do think they have that kind of Steve Cohen element of, I want something fun to spend some money on, and maybe there's some social status in there too. There's all kinds of reasons why a billionaire might want to buy a baseball team. But these guys have, I think, some motives that we as just fans would appreciate. I'd put it that way. Question marks. And I even put the question marks in question because maybe these aren't question marks. The high-profile thing, that's more Mat Ishbia. He got in some kind of weird altercation with Nikola Jokic sitting courtside, as an owner of a team. Even just being there, you can see him in his green jacket here. And he got kind of dunked on by NBA media for his kind of flop here. You could tell he used to play basketball because he's like he's taking a charge or something. But Mat Ishbia is also just like really kind of he's not a type of guy to sort of sit in the background. I don't think. I think there's a process to where the rest of the current MLB owners have to approve who's coming in. I don't see anything anywhere that would lead us to believe that they wouldn't approve Mat Ishbia, but maybe there's some stuff that they wouldn't like. And again, I want to make this clear. It's not like I know that much about these dudes. There are a few billionaires whose hands are truly clean. So there might be some dirt that gets dug up on these guys. You would imagine, though, anything like that would have come up when they recently bought the Suns. They haven't been owners of the Suns for that long. So that's another maybe positive is they've already gone through the process of buying a high-profile Big Four major sports organization, and they passed all the kind of background checks and all that stuff that's needed. Another thing that makes me a little bit nervous, slightly nervous, talking about that relocation thing, is Justin in particular has some Nashville ties. I believe he went to grad school at Vanderbilt in Nashville, and he owns a soccer team in Nashville. That's not a huge concern. Again, I think if you're buying the Minnesota Twins, your plan is to keep them in Minneapolis, but that's just always going to be in the back of my mind as a concern. Does this guy want to buy the Twins and move them to Nashville? That's like the biggest concern I can come up with these guys in comparison to any other run-of-the-mill billionaire that might be interested. So those are my thoughts. What are you thinking? I mean, this is a good day. This is a good day across Twins territory, in my opinion. Maybe these guys don't end up, maybe they're in a research period and they end up deciding that this isn't the way they want to go. But I think this is a good sign. I think it's fun to have a concrete idea of what the next chapter of Twins baseball might look like under a new ownership. And this certainly pushes momentum toward getting the Pohlads out of there, which, it's time. It's time. I'm not the most negative person about the Pohlads, but I am very much ready for a new ownership group for the Minnesota Twins. We'll put it that way. So thanks for checking this one out. I appreciate you. We'll talk again soon.